Happy New Year, and welcome to the Undisputed podcast. I'm your host, Joy Taylor. On today's show, who will win today's huge matchup between Clemson and Alabama? Plus, did Tom Brady lock up the MVP award? Charlie Weis joins the show to discuss. And do the Cowboys need to make significant changes this offseason? Skip, Shannon, let's get to it. Later today, it's the college football playoff, and we're joined now by Charlie Weis. Welcome, Charlie. Good morning. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Yeah. Here we go.
I'll tell you what a great day. Yeah. Black Monday, college football playoffs, NFL playoffs. It doesn't get any better than this.
It's better for some than others.
Yeah.
You didn't get fired today, did you?
No, I didn't.
Yeah.
I've been there.
Let's start with Alabama and Clemson. What is your prediction?
I think Alabama will beat Clemson. I can't see Nick losing twice in a row to the same team. I think at the end of the year, Alabama had a lot of guys banged up on defense. They had a month to get those guys all ready to go. I think that, Alabama's defense will show up big time tonight. I mean, that quarterback is gone, right? He's in with the Texans.
Yeah, he's gone.
Yeah. Okay, the one who tore him up 2 years in a row.
He tore him up.
Okay, so with him gone, I see Alabama stepping up tonight.
Win big? Couple
No, I
touchdowns?
don't think that either one of those teams could win big because I think they're both so good.
Right.
I think, a touchdown somewhere in that neighborhood.
All right.
Go ahead.
Go ahead. No, you go.
How about you?
You're Ain't Nick's
No,
guy.
no,
Go
I'm
ahead.
not. It'll let you pile on. I mean, you want to pile on St. Nick.
Okay, I want to be very clear about what I'm about to say. I am picking Clemson to win this game, but I am rooting like mad for Alabama because I want to see Baker Mayfield plant his flag right in the middle of Ain't Nick's defense. I'm not the biggest Nick Saban fan when it comes to big games, big stage games, especially against quarterbacks who can run and throw, and Baker Mayfield can do both.
Okay,
So that's what
we
I
know
want
who
to
you
see.
got in the other game.
But in this case, I didn't think Alabama belonged in this slot to begin with. I thought this should have been Ohio State's slot, and I think Ohio State made that case the other night against USC, 24-7.
Didn't they lose twice?
They did, but
so how can we
they
say
happened
they
to
lo-
win a league that was rated far better than the SEC was rated.
But they lost twice.
And that league,
55 hours.
that league called the Big Ten is now 7-0 in bowls,
They're
and I
doing
think
great.
that just
They're doing
screams
great.
that their league was better than the SEC. So this is the same Alabama team that gave up 168 yards rushing at Auburn. And this is the same Alabama team that barely survived at Texas A&M and barely survived at Mississippi State. And I think it's being a little overrated. And I think the point spread, it reflects the fact there's no Deshaun Watson and there is a Kelly Bryant. And Jalen Hurts has been pretty good. I think he has. You're not the biggest fan. I am a fan of Jalen Hurts. And I think he is their Russell Wilson. And I think Minkah Fitzpatrick is the real deal and is going to be a high pick and will live up to the high pick. And he is their Richard Sherman. After that, I'm not so sure because Clemson is stronger in the offensive line and stronger in the defensive front seven than Alabama is. And I realize they got decimated, especially at linebacker, and they got a lot of guys back. But I don't think they're stout enough and powerful enough and strong enough to withstand the physicality of Clemson for the whole game in both lines. I think they're going to lose both lines of scrimmage. And Kelly Bryant's 6'4", 220 and can run it. And he scored 13 rush touchdowns. So I think this is going to be a made-to-order game for Nick Saban because he's not going to pick them to pieces with his arm. He's good. They're going to try to run it down Alabama's throat, and I think they will successfully run it over Alabama enough that they can just barely beat them in a low-scoring
I think
game.
you're grossly underestimating Alabama's front seven. That's what I think.
Really? You think
And-
Clemson's is worse?
No, I said I think you're grossly underestimating Alabama's front seven. You expect them to run the ball down Alabama's throat, you'll be sorely mistaken. Tonight.
Not down their throat, but enough to win a low-scoring
You said they're going to run it down their throat.
Oh, well, but they're going to run it and run it and run it because that three-headed monster at Clemson, those two backs and the quarterback, they average 163 yards a game. Can they get 163 combined tonight? I'll bet they can get 100 plus combined.
See, the key runner for Alabama, they have loaded at running back, but the quarterback might be the best runner.
Right.
I mean, and anytime you can run with the quarterback with power like they do, you're +1.
Right.
Okay. And anytime you can be +1, giving you an extra blocker right there, it gives you a chance. That's why Alabama's offense really has been predicated on him running, not throwing. He's not the best at reading coverage. He can make any throw. Okay, but he's not the best at reading coverage.
Are you talking about scramble running or called running?
No, I'm talking about called runs. I mean, when they run the quarterback counter and the quarterback sweep, and quarterback lead, quarterback power, all those are called runs.
He's good. Yes. Well, he beat LSU at LSU last year when it was loaded with NFL talent with a scramble run. Remember that early in the fourth quarter?
I don't know if Alabama's defense is as good as it has been in the past, but when I look at FBS rank, I see opposition points per game, 1. Total yards of the game, 1. Yards per play, 1. Rush yards of the game, 1. Offensive rush yards per carry, 1. I mean, what all these ones come from, Skip?
All right, pick them big. Go ahead.
I'm picking
courage of your conviction.
I'm picking them.
You're picking it like by 1 point.
And you know what? I want you to know that Georgia players are watching this show.
Good.
They heard what you said.
Good.
They heard what you said.
All right.
Alabama, look, I'm nervous. I'm more nervous about this game than I was last year because I knew what Deshaun represented. But Skip, I got a close ball game. It's okay if it's close. At the end of the day, Coach Saban's going to tie his idol, Coach Bryant, 6 titles. The man's coaching right now, Skip. He has as many titles as all FBS coaches combined national titles. You can buy them all. All of them. Urban, Dabo, whoever else got one, Jimbo. Whoever else that's coaching the FBS, he got them.
You know what? Dabo's about to track him down.
Track him down to do what?
Dabo's coming. Dabo's a great big game coach.
He is. I love Dabo. He's getting them. But Kirby Smart was getting them. Number 1 quarterback, number 1 running back, number 1 left tackle, old guard. They gonna be loaded next year. But old St. Nick.
St. Nick ain't Nick.
Old St. Nick. Let me ask you a question, Skip. When he goes and sits on a mom's or a grandma's couch, he says, "Son, what would you want to do? You want to play in front of a big crowd? Bryant Denny, we're going to have 85,000. You want to play for an SEC title? We do that every year. You want to play for a national title? We do that too. So if you come to me, I'm going to send you to the NFL. You're going to have an SEC ring, a national title ring, and you're going to go in the first 2 rounds.
Does he sit on the couch and tell him, come here, and we're going to give up 40 points to Deshaun Watson, then we're going to give up 35 points to Deshaun Watson, then we're going to give up, how about 45 to Trevor Knight of Oklahoma in the Sugar Bowl, and 43 to Ole Miss and Chad Kelly? Wait a second, and 42 to Ohio State, a game in which Ezekiel Elliott ran for 230 yards?
Can you read those ones again? I want to hear all those ones.
Opponents per game, total yards per game, yards per play, yards per rush.
There should be a route. No, they should just overpower.
Charlie, so you see,
Well, I'm serious.
Down south, what they call you? They don't say Charlie. They say Charlie.
Here's the bottom line. In a game like this, see, in college football, here's the problem. People are always worrying about point spreads. In college football, you have to win by enough to get fancy points to be able to be picked in these Final Four, instead of just being able to call off the dogs like you normally would.
Right.
You have to get style points. Who gives a crap what you win by?
Right.
I mean, in these games right there, you're just trying to win.
Trying to win.
Okay.
Advance.
You're just trying to win. Okay. It's sort of like a pro mentality. I mean, he's been in the pros for a bunch of years. You never cared what you won by.
No.
When the game was over.
I came out.
Okay, when the game was over, if you won the game, you felt good. If you lost the game, you felt bad. Okay, for 24 hours, you either were really happy or not very happy, and the next day it started all over.
No mercy. The AFC playoffs were run through New England after the Patriots beat the Jets 26-6 yesterday. Tom Brady threw 2 touchdown passes and was pulled midway through the fourth quarter when the game was pretty much over. Brady is still the favorite to win the MVP award, but in December, he threw 5 interceptions and had 0 300-yard passing games. We're joined once again by Charlie Weis, who won 3 Super Bowls with Brady. Is Tom Brady the MVP?
I think not out of default, but I think that the MVP was Wentz's, the way things were going with Wentz. But when he got injured, I think that Tommy was a close second, and I think that now puts him first. I know people talk about Gurley and how good a year he's had, but a running back gets the ball 20, 25 times a game, and unless they're rushing for 2,000 yards, no one's, because the only 2 people who touch the ball on every play are the center and the quarterback. And I think Tommy's clearly been the best of the rest, best of this pack. And the one good thing about Tommy, regardless of those stats you said, the one good thing is no matter what he's got to work with, they figure it out.
Right.
I mean, they lose Edelman. they lose Edelman. They really don't have a frontline receiver. I mean, you could say Cooks is their frontline receiver, but he's just a fast guy who doesn't run very good routes.
That's correct.
I mean, the running backs should dump the ball off to them. They have 4 running backs. 3 of them weren't active yesterday. They only had 1 of them that was active out of those running backs. And then you got Gronk, where sometimes he's healthy, sometimes he's not. A healthy Gronk is as good a player as you'll ever see. An unhealthy Gronk, you take that out of there too. So all those things put together, and what he's able to do with what he's dealt, and be able to win just keep on winning. I mean, it's got to be him. And it's amazing on top of everything else, because we talked about this the first time we're on. We're talking about a guy in his 40s now, too, on top of it. Not that that should have anything to do with it. Not that that should have anything to do with the vote.
It has nothing to do with it.
Okay,
Of course it does.
but the bottom line is he's just won.
Let me ask you a question, Charlie. How many times have you heard someone use Tom Brady's 40 years old?
How many times have I heard it?
Yep.
1,000.
Okay. There you go.
How many times have you heard it from me?
Whoa, a lot.
None.
Yes. Can I ask you a question? All things being equal, do you think Tom Brady was having a better year than Carson Wentz?
No.
No further questions.
So Charlie had it right and he had it wrong, because clearly Tom Brady was having a better year than Carson Wentz did when he unfortunately got hurt late in the game at Los
The
Angeles.
man coached Tom Brady. The 3 Super Bowls.
No, touchdown to picks, Tommy was better. If you look at that stat, touchdowns to picks, you say, well, you take Tommy. You look at completion percentage, you take Tommy. Okay, now that being said, you took a team that was used to losing and a team that's used to winning, and this guy came in with this team that's used to losing and turned it into that thing. So where he took this team, okay, factors into me that he had to take this team to here, whereas Tommy already had the team here. He's sustained it, whereas where Wentz had to bring it up.
But who had the better running game? Carson Wentz did. Who had a better defense for much of the year? Carson Wentz did. Who had a better receiving core all the year? Carson Wentz did. I don't know how Tom Brady pulled off 13 and 3.
But you look at a guy like Nelson Aguilar. He was terrible last year.
Thank you.
I mean,
They got rid of Jordan Matthews.
I mean, they wanted to dump him. They were
They
trying
went and got Alshon, and they got Torrey Smith, and all of a sudden Zach
Why were
Ertz-
they available?
Huh?
Why were they available?
They
What
bought 'em.
good receivers that comes available? Receivers in
A
their
lot
prime.
do. A lot do. You got to go pay for them, and they went and paid for them.
No, not the 10 million on up guys.
Hey, was Zach Ertz not as good as any? He was right there with
Yes,
Kelsey.
but they drafted him. I'm saying he was there. But what did he look like last year? All I'm saying is, Skip, 33 touchdowns, 7 interceptions. He has more touchdowns, fewer interceptions, playing 3 fewer games. Look at his numbers. He has a better QBR. Now, you love QBR. It just so happens your guy finished third. Carson Wentz finished first.
And he didn't have to play the last 4 games.
Okay. That being said, do you believe he's going to have more or less than 33 touchdowns that he ended the season with?
Well, but his QBR could have fallen because he might have had an off game, an average game.
The guy who really deserves some discussion was actually Russell Wilson.
Yes.
I mean, he's the whole offense out there.
Yeah,
And I
but
believe
you
they
don't
had
have
one
to
more
show for it.
No, they didn't make the playoffs. I got it, but I'm like, every time you turn, it's either a throw that he made or a run that he made. I mean, every time I watch him, he amazes me.
So, Shannon Sharp, who had better protection, Carson Wentz or Tom Brady? Help me out. It's not even close. Tom Brady sacked 15 times last year, 35 times he got sacked this year. Yesterday by the Jets, he got knocked down 7 times.
Okay.
You
He's
kept
got
telling
hit a
me,
lot.
hey,
Let me tell
you're
you,
taking
Skip,
years off your life.
I'm at their games every week. The 2 games against Miami, both at home and on the road, he got the crap kicked out.
He did.
I mean, he got hit and he
Charlie,
got
you
hit
like
a lot.
December. You like December,
Yep,
right?
I love December.
That's when you play your best football.
Thanksgiving on.
Tell me what you think about Tom's
Thank you for
numbers.
bringing that up.
He's 15th in completion percentage.
Yeah.
He's 17th in yards per attempt. He's tied for 3rd in interceptions in the month of December.
Okay, Charlie, what was
Okay, how many
Wait a
games?
second.
And what's the record?
They're 4-1.
And wait, what was the game of the year in the National Football League?
Steelers and
At
You get extra credit
Pittsburgh.
for that?
Oh, wait a second. Extra credit? It's the game of the year, and you went through for 300 yards and won?
It determines home field advantage.
If you don't mind me asking, can you tell me where the Pittsburgh Steelers defense ranked?
I don't care.
Oh, now you don't care.
This is the game of the year.
Now you don't care.
It's at Pittsburgh. It's for everything. It's for all the marbles.
But
it's
Shannon,
for home field.
Shannon, even you,
Yes.
who, in your unbiased opinion,
Yeah, right.
we know you have no bias.
No, I used to be a voter, Charlie.
Okay.
I voted for Tom plenty of times.
Oh,
I just don't
please.
believe this year
I don't believe
he was the
that.
best quarterback in the NFL. I just don't.
Well, tell me, give me one then.
Carson Wentz had it
Okay,
better
he
than-
got hurt. Sorry, Carson.
So let
You're out.
let me
but I'm saying.
Let me ask you a question. Let me just say for the
Yep.
sake of argument. He doesn't get hurt. He plays a quarter in the last 2 games because they have everything sewn up. You hold that against him?
Nope. I
So,
wouldn't.
They got
Shannon
everything
Sharp.
sewn up.
So you can't protect Tom Brady, and then he's lost Edelman and Martellus and Malcolm Mitchell and
He had
Chris
Martellus
Hogan.
for a
Wait a second.
game.
I'm not saying, but from last year.
And he was done.
Yeah.
You know,
Okay.
he was
So
done.
you don't have the other tight end. And then you've lost James White and Rex Burkhead, who were his 2 favorite targets coming out of the backfield. They didn't even have them yesterday. And now it's down to Deion Lewis, as you say, or bust at running back.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know how he did this. He's 13-3. They're the number 1 seed.
Let me tell you something. If you were in Foxborough yesterday, you would have given the ball to the running backs as many times as you could give.
Did I not? I told you that. He said, oh, he had a bad game. He had a pretty solid game in the conditions. It's below 0 wind chill.
But December.
It's
It's
hard
not
to
been like
throw,
this
man.
all of December, Charlie.
Right.
He has 6 touchdowns and 5 interceptions. That's what he has in the month.
I don't think the offense has been great, including him in the month of
Yes,
December.
that's what I'm saying.
No, I will agree with you that it's not been I'm not going to sit there and make something up now. The offense has not been in sync. But why? Okay, why? Well, because if you take away Gronkowski, okay, you take away Gronkowski, what do you have left? You don't have a frontline receiver. All Cooks can really do is run by guys, and that's where he's made crossing routes and deep routes, where he's made the majority of his plays. Okay, so then you end up throwing the ball to the backs. Now the problem is now the backs get hurt too. Where are you going to go? Who are you going to throw it to now?
And wait a second. Yesterday, Gronkowski played 58 snaps and had 0 targets. So I guess he won without Gronkowski.
Well, I think the Jets made it their business to take Gronk away.
All right.
But here's the thing. We keep saying Brandon Cooks is not very much. He's one of 4 wide receivers to have 3 1,000-yard passing games before his 25th birthday.
Oh, I'm not saying that Brandon Cooks is not a frontline receiver. I'm saying I'm just saying he's not a 1.
No, and that's the thing. See, Charlie, you're looking at it like Skip. If he's not Julio Jones or Antonio Brown, he's not good. But those guys wouldn't necessarily be a right fit for them because you got to do it the Patriots way. See, you can't throw them the ball 10 times one game and then throw them 10 times the next 5 games.
Yeah. See, if you have Cooks and Edelman, now all of a sudden Cooks is becomes a much more viable receiver.
Yeah.
Right.
Because now he's your number 2.
So, Shannon, who you got winning it all? Winning it all.
Well, I had the Patriots.
Okay. You sticking with it?
Yeah, but that doesn't mean he's the MVP.
Well, he's the quarterback. They're 13-3.
Okay.
How do you explain that? Mirrors?
There are a lot of teams 13-3.
So Shannon, who would you give it to?
I would give it to Carson Wentz. He was
And I don't think
I think
why would they give it to Case Keenum?
I think it's going to be closer than you think, Charlie. I think this.
I do think it'll
I
be
thought
close.
you said it was a runaway, like it's a done deal.
Oh, if Carson Wentz had played the entire season, it was not going to even be close. No question in my mind, because he'd have been somewhere around 40-plus touchdowns.
Oh, I think it'll be close. I don't think it's going to be a runaway, but I think it's going to be 12.
We got straight Brady hate coming across the table here.
What's that hate?
You got the hate going. It's okay.
No, I'll agree with Shannon that the month of December, the Patriot offenses just looked just okay.
Charlie, you're a Tommy guy. You
Okay,
can't say
hey,
that.
look it.
You're a truthful guy.
I texted
I knew Charlie. I knew Charlie before he knew Tom Brady.
Wait, did you hear that? He texted Tommy after the game.
So we texted after the game, and he just. I think that the feeling in Foxborough was, I'm glad that game's over. Let's move on.
Let's focus on the
Because
playoffs.
the Patriots are thinking, okay, we got to buy.
And we didn't get anybody hurt.
That's
so-
right. Let's get out of there. Let's get healthy, and let's get ready to go.
No mercy.
The Cowboys ended their season with a 6-0 win in Philly yesterday. The Eagles rested several starters, but Dallas got the win to finish the season at 9-7. Dak threw a touchdown pass for the only score of the game, and Ezekiel Elliott finished with 141 total yards. Let's take a listen to Zeke and Dak reflect on their season.
There was ups and downs. I think I played some of my best ball of my career this year, and obviously I played some of my worst ball of my career this year. So you can call it what you want. Like I said, I learned from it. I'm gonna call it a growing year. It's still a winning season for us. We're 9-7. We're gonna, like I said, we're gonna grow off of that. Keep moving forward.
I wish it would have ended differently. I wish we were playing in the playoffs right now. But I'm happy to have everything behind me. I'm happy to move forward, and I'm gonna use it as fuel for next year.
Skip, what was your takeaway from yesterday's game?
First of all, it looked like neither team wanted to play in the brutal cold in Philadelphia, and I'll be the first to admit Philly mostly played backups most of the game.
Backups to backups.
Backups to what looked like Cowboy backups.
Joy, they call you? They needed a safety.
I wasn't available.
You under the weather.
I can't be out there in that cold.
But what made this game even more painful for me to watch, at least for the first three quarters, was Dak Prescott trying to prove he's quote-unquote true friends with Dez Bryant by forcing throw after throw after throw to Dez Bryant, with whom he has no wavelength, no rapport, no connection. It's just force, force, force. And it's Dez Bryant, 8 more targets, 3 little catches for 24 measly yards. Measly. I think 12 of them came on one, like, run and catch play, like a 2-yard pass that he ran.
So the other
10
two, he's
yards.
averaging 6 yards a catch.
Yeah. But near the end of the third quarter, hark, a Bryce Butler sighting. Bryce Butler has been gone for the last 4 games with a foot injury just when my team needed him most to either push Dez or replace Dez Bryant. Hark, Dak threw it to, there's Bryce Butler, 30 yards. It was the biggest play of the game for the Dallas Cowboys. And I'm saying, wait a second, where has he been? I have been pounding the table over here saying Bryce Butler is the only Dallas Cowboy receiver, the only receiver, including Jason Witten, of course, your friend, who can run by a defender. Bryce Butler is 6'3", 220. He's actually a little bit bigger than Dez Bryant, not as physical, but bigger. And I remind everybody, before Bryce Butler's draft, he ran 4.36 in his pro day. 4.36. Mm-hmm. So he can really run.
That's big.
That's booking. He can actually run by people.
Yeah.
And I've been saying it again and again and again on this show. So there's a 30-yarder, and then they move on down the field, and all of a sudden, Dak steps back and steps right into a throw like a rifle shot. It was the most conviction I've seen him throw a football with for about 6 weeks, on a rope, right to, number 19, it's Bryce Butler. Skinny post. He runs right by the defender.
Yep.
Touchdown. 20 yards. So 30 yards, 20 yards. So 2 targets, 2 catches, 6 points. And that's it. That's the score of the game. It's 6-0. So he makes 2 catches.
What happened to the PAT? What did the PAT to come?
What did I tell you last week? Dan Bailey has lost it. It's your fantasy kicker, I know. And he, going into this year, he was the most accurate kicker in the history of pro football. And I told you, starting at the Giants game, when kickers lose it, they go completely south. He's got the demons in his psyche. He missed an extra point, Dan Bailey, yesterday, that extra point. He missed it more than 10 yards to the left. It's hard to do.
Yeah.
I could probably come a little closer than 10 yards left.
As a right-footed kicker, it's hard to miss it. Normally they push it.
Yeah.
But
he just duck hooked it 10 yards left of the upright, and then he misses another field goal way left of the upright. He's like mentally shot. So we got to start over there, I'm afraid, going into next year.
Might need a new kicker.
Yeah. But, of course, what carried us over the last 4 games, Sean Lee came back.
Oh, my.
So do you realize that my Dallas Cowboy defense gave up in the last 4 games 10 points, 17 points, 14 points, and 0 points, albeit to the backups, albeit to, I can't remember the quarterback, Sudfeld, Nate Sudfeld.
Yeah.
Okay, but still, 10, 17, 14, 0 because of Sean Lee. 3 games, the worst defense in pro football. Those last 4 games, Sean Lee. Thank you very much. But it is time, Jerry Jones, to part ways with Dez Bryant. Go forward with Bryce Butler, spend the money that you have for Dez, go out and get some wideout who can run. I'm sure they can find somebody else to complement Bryce Butler and Terrence Williams, and just clear the deck, because obviously Dak and Dez have no connection.
Okay, you mentioned Bryce Butler. So do you actually believe that Jerry Jones would have instructed Jason Garrett to sit Dez Bryant on the sideline and let Bryce Butler play?
When? Yesterday or any day?
Any day.
I don't know. What happened last year when Bryce Butler had to play 3 games because Dez couldn't? At San Francisco, Cincinnati, at Aaron Rodgers. What happened?
Dez Bryant was not hurt then. So
No,
Dez
he was.
could not play.
He was hurt.
He was hurt then.
Yes.
He couldn't play.
Right.
I'm saying Dez Bryant healthy.
Yeah.
Do you believe Jerry Jones would have instructed Jason Garrett to sit Dez down and let Bryce Butler play?
No, but if I were coaching the Dallas Cowboys, I would have said, heck with you, Jerry, I'm playing Bryce Butler. That's what I would have done because it was painfully clear it's time to go to Bryce Butler. Who made the 2 big plays that won them the Monday night game at Arizona? Who made them? Bryce Butler.
I get all that.
Wow.
But normally when the boss comes in and says, this is what I want you to do, you do what the boss instructs you to do. So you and I both know, we believe that Bryce Butler can, at this juncture of his career and where Dez is in his career, we believe Bryce Butler would be a better fit. But it doesn't matter what you and I think. It only matters what Jerry thinks. Jerry thinks Dez is the bees, and he's not.
Well,
but anyway, okay, I'm going to make sure I'm getting this correctly. I'm looking at all these absentees that the Eagles had, and you could only score 6 points against backups?
Until Bryce Butler stepped on the field.
But hold on.
That was it.
So let me guess. So it was your backups against the Eagles' backups. Is that what you're telling me?
No, it was not.
Hold on, wait a minute. You mean to tell me that y'all had 2 all-pro offensive linemen playing, you had Dak Prescott playing, you had Jason Witten, Dez Bryant, and you guys only got 6 points?
What have I told you all year long? The most overrated single unit in all of pro football, the most disappointing unit in all of pro football, my offensive line, which played offensive football, as can't watch it.
You know what's been offensive also? Your quarterback. Again, he was Prescottian, Joy. This is what we know since Zeke has been back. Since Zeke has come back, 2 games, Cowboys scored 12 and 6 points.
Well, you said Zeke's the whole offense, so what happened?
Well,
what happened, Shannon? What happened? Where was your driving force?
Hold on, I'm going to make sure. Okay, you said you gave Dak a B. You gave Dak a B for this year.
I did.
Last year, he had 4 interceptions. This year, 13. Completion percentage is down by 5%. Yards per attempt down by more than a yard. And you went from 13-3 to 9-7.
Wait a second. Last year you were 3rd in QBR. This year you're merely 4th in QBR. That's pretty great.
I don't care about no QBR.
Where's Aaron Rodgers?
I don't care.
Where's Drew Brees?
Hurt.
Wait, where's the reigning MVP Matt Ryan? Where are they? They're all below Dak Prescott.
Hold up, hold up. You named 2 guys. Drew Brees, I know where he is. He's in the playbook walking film, getting ready for a playoff game. So is Matt Ryan. Can you tell me where Dak Prescott will be in about 3 hours?
Well, if Sean Lee hadn't gotten hurt,
I don't know about,
he'd be in the playoffs.
Hold up,
you know it,
Skip,
and I know
if you don't mind me asking, how many points did the defense give up in these last 4 games? You said the defense gave up how many points?
10, 17, 14, 0.
Okay, in those 4 games, can you tell people at home how many did the offense score?
Have you been around Baker Mayfield?
Joe,
Is it contagious?
Why can't I ask you a question?
Well, you answer it.
No,
you got it. You got the research.
No, I don't want to do that.
Go ahead.
No, you got all these great numbers, and
It's your turn. I'm just listening.
I don't want to get my blue jacket messed up. Put this thing on you, Joe. I put it on him this morning.
Just go ahead and spew your phony baloney. I don't know.
Skip.
Just go ahead.
Okay,
try.
how about this here?
Yeah.
The Dallas Cowboys need outside playmakers. They need guys that can get down the field in a hurry and can make plays. They also need a playmaking safety. If you're going to stick with these young guys, Skip, on the edge, the Lewises, what's the guy they got from Colorado?
Awuzie.
If you're going to stick with these guys, and you believe that they can mature and become what you think they can become, but you need playmakers. You better go get your defensive end and put him next to DeMarcus Lawrence. Now, DeMarcus Lawrence.
You got to sign him. Resign him.
Ooh, do you know what defensive ends go for? Especially guys that are 25, he'd be 26 next year.
Who led the NFL in sacks?
No, he and Calais tied for second.
It's close.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you know what those guys go for? Oh, Joy, they're about $16, $17 million a year. So, Joy, you got to come on with it, Jerry. You got to open up that. So this is why Dez release or trade looks more likely.
Clear it.
Because you got to sign this guy. 25-year-old young pass rushing guy that can go get your double-digit sacks. They don't grow on trees. Skip. Dez Bryant had 5 more receiving yards than Alvin Kamara. Devin Funchess. You just said Devin Funchess was not very good. He had more receiving yards than Dez Bryant.
Yep.
So you mean to tell me you're going to pay, he's due $12.5 million. That's what he's due, $12.5 with those numbers, I don't see how Dez Bryant is on this roster next year without a hefty pay cut with an opportunity to make back that money up in incentives. But if he's unwilling to take a pay cut, Skip, I don't see it.
Yep. So I believe he's going to be gone. I think Jerry Jones is going to be forced to look in the mirror and say, I've gone long enough. He's been a blind spot for me. We need to move on and move up. And so I'm going to predict that Jerry Jones will cut the cord with Dez Bryant.
All you got to do, Skip, look at the season since he got the big contract. His last year, 1,307 yards, 16 touchdowns, but look at 15, 16, and 17. And you tell me that's a guy that deserves to be paid in the upper echelon of wide receiver at that position.
Body broke down.
It's not even close.
And furthermore, he led the NFL in drops. You just can't do that. He undid Dak more than anything undid Dak. They couldn't protect him. He couldn't throw it to 88, who was single covered.
Well, stop going to him.
Well,
If I go,
I would do.
Joy, if every time I go to the grocery store, if they don't have what I came for, why am I keep going there?
Didn't you just say when the boss tells you to do something?
No, I
you
ain't
do
doing it. I know they tell me to say, well, go ahead. Hey, coach. Okay, boss.
Now you're not listening?
I'm telling Dak. True story. My college coach, we play in Central Florida. Called timeout. He told his guys, he said, look here, I want you to go in there and run. We're going to run 6-5-6. You're going to be wide open, not going in there. He told the quarterback, don't you throw that ball to that boy. He said, throw it to Sharp or throw it out of bounds. Dak, don't you throw that ball to Dan.
So you know what my Cowboy offense often degenerated into? Dak Prescott checking it down to 82. This guy named Jason Witten that you say, even right here, right now, at your age, in this stage of your life, you could outrun in 40 yards.
You know why they check it down to him, Skip? Because that's as far as he can get down the field.
Yeah.
I'm not breaking any news. Jason Witten was never the game-breaking, game-changing tight end. He was reliable. He's going to catch the ball. He's going to move the chains. But if you're expecting Jason Witten to catch a ball and go 60 yards, that's never been him. Yep. That's not going to be him moving forward. Now, it was announced that he's coming back for 2018.
He says he wants to come back.
He'll give you the exact same thing, Skip. He's very reliable. He's very durable. But Skip, if you think you're going to get Gronk or the Kelsey plays or some of these other tight ends, the Jimmy, you're not going to get that from him because that's not where he is in his career.
No mercy. Cam Newton had a game to forget as the Panthers lost in Atlanta yesterday. He started the game 0 for 9 and threw 3 interceptions in the loss. The Panthers will now travel to New Orleans in the first round of the playoffs after the Saints swept them during the regular season. Here is a well-dressed Cam after the game.
A couple throws got away from me. And there at the end, I felt like I was, pressing a little bit, too much. That can't happen. It's all about growth. It's no need to sob over something that I could have been better at. And, these are the days that, pointing the blame, pointing the finger, and even being harsh on yourself, you kind of stay stagnant. Right now, we need to turn the page extremely fast, and I'm going to do that and focus on the next opponent.
Think you can pull that hat off, Shannon?
No, I ain't really the head guy, but I probably could pull off something like that. You know what I'm saying?
Feather?
Yeah, you know.
How would you grade Cam's day?
F. Hold on. What did Cam say last week, Joey? He said it's time to put up or shut up. Cam Newton went to Atlanta and had an opportunity to win the division because Jameis Winston led a game-winning drive against the New Orleans Saints. Cam Newton threw for less than 200 yards again and 3 INTs. That's what he did. He was terrible, Skip. 3 interceptions. Skip, he completed. Think about it. He was 14 to 34? 14 to 24? 8 of his 24 passes went to wide receivers or tight ends, 6 of them to backs. So that's 14 completions right there. Running backs. Throwing the ball out the backfield. The defense held the Atlanta Falcons. After the first drive, they kept them out of the end zone, made them settle for 5 field goals. That's what Carolina's defense did. And what did Cam do, Skip? INT. If you think about and I said this is why I have no confidence in the Carolina Panthers and Cam Newton. When Cam Newton throws multiple interceptions, they're 0-4. They're 11-1 in all other games. If he throws one or fewer interceptions, Skip, they're 11-1. Think about that. I'm looking at Cam like, hold on. If you just, Skip, He's worse than Dak. This dude had 9 games in which he threw for less than 200 yards. This is a former MVP, but that's the outlier season because if you go back and look at Cam Newton's career, this is pretty much who Cam is. Take Cam Newton's best 4 games this year. He's 14-1, Joey. 14 touchdowns, 1 interception. In the 12 other games, he's 8 TDs, 15 interceptions. And I'm supposed to have confidence in that moving forward. Cam is too inconsistent. He's still throwing off that back foot. That's why the ball sails on him. If you look at a lot of his throws, sailed right over the top. Had 9 targets to Greg Olsen. 1. Come on, you can't win like that. Cam's too good. At some point in time, we can't just, well, he's MVP. Okay, I get that. Can't take that award from him. But I need to see progression. I need to see growth. And I see Cam fall back into the same thing week after week. Too many throws, too many bad throws, not enough growth to say Cam Newton has finally turned the corner. We still have this conversation every other week about which Cam will show up. I don't know, but I do know this. In his career, I've seen more Cam of this than I saw in 2015.
I hear everything you just said, but I am sorry. I'm not going to be nearly as hard on Cam Newton because legitimately, as opposed to LeBron James, Cam does not have enough help. I'm going to give him a C for yesterday just because.
A C?
Yeah, because I look at his wideouts and it's like Devin Funchess or bust. Seriously? And Greg Olsen just doesn't look right. I know what you're saying about the targets, but he just looks like a shell of himself after his injury. He tried to come back from that. Christian McCaffrey, I'm going to say it again, and I said it before the draft, overhyped, overrated. Everybody talked about, oh, Cam's got a new toy. This is going to take a lot of pressure off Cam. Baloney it did. He's just too little. He's not electric enough. He's not sudden enough. I know you played with his father. I know you loved him coming into the draft. I just don't see it because I didn't see enough of it at Stanford. And again, he's 28th in total yards from scrimmage. That's just not good enough. Like Todd Gurley had more than 1,000 yards total, more than this little kid.
But Todd Gurley's an every down back. He's splitting carries.
McCaffrey looked like he's in there every down doing something.
No, Jonathan Stewart took a bulk of the carries. Skip, you know that.
Well, the leading rusher on the team is Cam Newton.
Yeah.
So this whole offense to me is Cam or bust. So when he gets desperate, he starts trying to do things he's not capable of because all the way back to Auburn, he's never been a consistently accurate passer. And yesterday, the ball does sail. He backfoots it a lot. And sometimes, like up at Foxborough, he was getting away with a lot of backfoot throws. And sometimes he gets hot and you say, how did he pull that off? Because I don't even know who, Devin Funchess, really? I don't like the football team and their defense. This year, it's 11th in points allowed. So it's not a top 5 that can carry them.
The defense is good. They're not great like they were in 2015.
They're not great. And they're tied for 16th in takeaways. So they're not doing what they did back in his MVP year, which was every time I looked up, they were taking the ball away.
Plus, what was Cam doing? Cam only had 10 interceptions that year. So he was 35-10, plus when you factor in those 10 rushing touchdowns. So not only were they taking the ball away, Cam wasn't giving it away. Cam was 22-16, Skip. What am I supposed to do with that?
It's just who he is. He's always been average to below average in QBR because he'll like he was a 17 yesterday in QBR, and it should have been much lower, but he ran for a team-high 59 yards on 11 carries, and QBR factors in the legs. So to me, as a thrower, you gave Dak an F for the whole season. As a thrower, I'd have to give, on your grading scale, I'd have to give Cam an F- because that was miserable. Dak didn't have any single game as bad as
what upsets me about Cam Newton and just watching his career, Skip, when he's great, he's Brady, he's Aaron Rodgers-esque. But when he's bad, he's Trevor Siemian.
Yep.
He's Brock Osweiler, Blake Bortles. See, the disparity between Skip, why can't he fall somewhere in the middle? He's either way over here or he's way over there. There's no in between with him. Yep. So when you get the highs, he's sky high. But when you get the lows, Skip, he's bottom of the barrel.
Mm-hmm. So I'm right here going to predict already that Cam Newton and company will lose a 3rd straight game this year to New Orleans, this one at New Orleans. And I got a little stat for you just real quick. Since 2000, the team that has swept the regular season series is 11-5 in the 3rd meeting in the postseason.
Right.
11-5. New Orleans is just better than Carolina is. I like New Orleans. I think New Orleans is going to win the NFC. I'll just throw it on the table right now. Who you got?
I think the Rams, after what I saw yesterday with Nick Foles, I'm scared, Skip. But I think the Rams and Case Keenum have one of those two teams have the best opportunity. And I would say I'm leaning towards the Rams right now.
Okay. I'm going to discount what happened to New Orleans yesterday because I don't think they had enough incentive, enough to play for at Tampa. And Jameis did get hot late. He threw
Skip, they could have lost the division. They had everything
I know,
to play for.
But again, it was like, I just think most people thought Atlanta was going to win that game. So they go in with that mindset. But they still have Drew Brees. He's still playing at a pretty high level.
Yes.
And those two stud backs, man, that's a 1-2 punch, and they led the NFL in yards per attempt.
I don't know. It's been a long time since we've seen an offensive rookie crop like what we've seen this year. You got Kareem Hunt, who led the league in rush yards.
Yep.
You had Juju Schuster in Pittsburgh, who was fantastic in the absence of Antonio Brown.
Yep.
And you have Kamara.
Okay.
I mean, they're special.
And the defense that you thought was going to be historically bad turned out 10th in points allowed, which is It's good enough to go win playoff games.
Considering where they started the year, giving
agree.
up almost 1,000 yards in 2 games.
So I'm just going to lay it on the table. I got New Orleans in a repeat of 2013, going to Nick Foles and beating Nick Foles after beating Carolina, obviously, and eliminating the Eagles. And it was 26-24 after the 2013 season. That was Nick Foles against Drew Brees.
Correct.
And then I got the Saints going to Minnesota and managing to overcome Drew Brees over Case Keenum, stopping Minnesota 1 game short of getting to play the Super Bowl in its house. That's what I got. I got New Orleans. I got Drew Brees versus Tom Brady, and Tom Brady winning it.
I mean, but if you just look at Skip. I mean, when you get down to it, there are 12 teams in the playoffs. I mean, you look at these teams, though, Skip. They got 3 quarterbacks, and then not like the other guys. Like, wow, you got the Titans, you got Jacksonville, you got 2 backups.
Hey, the NFC is as wide open as I can ever remember it. So somebody's going to get hot and go far.
I sure hope they get hot,
Yeah.
because they better not get cold.
Well, that was a big game for Carolina to lose, too, because they could have won the NFC South and had a home playoff game.
Yeah.
No mercy.
Jack Del Rio was fired after 3 seasons as the Raiders head coach yesterday. Oakland finished 6-10 a year after going to the playoffs. After that, ESPN's Adam Schefter reported that all signs point to the Raiders hiring John Gruden as their next head coach and even possibly giving him an ownership stake in the team. He coached for the Raiders for 4 seasons starting in 1998 before winning a Super Bowl in Tampa. On Saturday, Gruden said, quote, "I don't want to sit here and speculate." Shannon, is Gruden a good fit in Oakland?
I believe he's a good fit. He knows the fan base. He's had enormous success there in his 4 years coaching there. He never went below 500. Got him to an AFC championship game in which when I was at the Ravens, we ended up beating them.
Well, don't just gloss over that. I mean, you did.
Oh,
You caught the big pass.
No, a little something.
Are you being humble in 2018?
Yeah, you know.
Who was that safety who took that terrible
I don't
angle?
know who the safety was.
Yes, you do.
I thought the defensive coordinator. You already got us backed up. Why are you blitzing?
Didn't you pull that highlight up one day?
Yeah. Where is it?
I ain't gonna say it was Marquez Polk and Anthony Dorsett. I refuse to say it. I'm not gonna say who the safeties were.
Yeah. They both took bad angles.
Me and Dorsett,
right down the middle.
we cool.
Yeah.
Skip, I think it's a good thing because remember, they're getting ready to move to Vegas. They got to get a splashy hire. I think Jack Del Rio was a victim of his own success because he got a 4-year contract extension just in February, Skip. So obviously they thought he was the guy for the future. But Derek Carr took a step back. He regressed, Skip. There's no other way to put it. He took a major step back.
To me, a much bigger step back than Dak Prescott.
I would agree.
Go ahead.
I would agree, given the circumstances, absolutely.
So if you gave Dak an F, you got to give this guy what, like a G?
I don't know what's lower than F. Let's just say he got to take the class remedial. He got to take the class again, Joy. And the same But, Skip, when you look at it, for me, how many years did John Gruden get to live off that Super Bowl? Because that's what we're seeing here, Skip. I mean, because he coached 6 years after that. He was under 500, 6 games under 500, 2 winning seasons, no playoff win.
No quarterback.
Okay. Well, we know he doesn't really pick quarterback because he wanted Johnny Manziel with the Houston Texans. He thought Tim Tebow should be a high draft pick. So we're going to get an opportunity to see because we've seen John Gruden. I would love to coach him. Oh, Tim Tebow, he got you, Joe. He got you. Guess what? He back in business now. We gonna see all that, this here, that, Y2 banana, him drawing it up on the board, Y2 banana. Then we got to take this sale right.
Spider bite.
Yeah.
Spider banana.
Yeah,
you got to get the spider in there.
Yeah, we call it flow pass. But anyway, Joe, we about to see. Now, maybe he'll have the same kind of success because the last coach I can remember that was away from the game this long was Dick Vermeil. Remember, his last game was 82. He came back in, 97? 97, he was bad. 98, he was bad. And somehow Rodney Harrison hit Trent Green in the knee.
Correct.
And Kurt Warner. But guess what? Kurt Warner was a two-time league MVP, went to the Hall of Fame. Marshall Faulk was a league MVP, went to the Hall of Fame. Orlando Pace is in the Hall of Fame. You got two guys up for the Hall of Fame at wide receiver.
Yep.
So, John Gruden, you better hope you got some of those out there. Because if you don't, you're going to struggle. A lot of things have changed since John Gruden last coached in the NFL. It's not the same NFL that he remembers, Skip, and he's got some catching up to do.
Okay, you make a lot of good points. I'm going to make a bigger point because I covered John Gruden when he coached the Oakland Raiders in the Bay Area. And I'm here to tell you he wasn't just a good fit, he was an all-time great fit for that team because he just exuded, he just spilled silver and black mystique.
Yes.
He had that Chucky snarl, and Raider Nation just ate it up. And I can tell you, in that time, as I covered both the 49ers and the Raiders in the Bay Area, the biggest star in the Bay Area was not Terrell Owens over here on this side of the Bay with the 49ers. It was Chucky Gruden. It was. He just loomed over this franchise. The Black Hole loved him because he embodied their spirit. He was against the grain, and he had some just vintage shouting matches with his owner, Al Davis, walking off the practice field every other day. And the media could watch it and report about it. He just openly defied Al Davis, who eventually, as you know, just flat out traded him to Tampa.
For $8 million and 2 first-round
Yeah,
picks, there's
that's
a lot of
pretty good.
There's a lot of coaches that would get traded that's not named Bill Belichick.
But Chucky came back and got his revenge on Al the next year because Chucky could basically call all the Raider plays in the Super Bowl, and it got completely out of hand against Rich Gannon, who was that year the NFL MVP for the Raiders. And the tables got turned, and it was 48-21 Tampa, and John Gruden was on the Super Bowl map, to your point, and he sort of lived off that all the way till now. And by the way, I don't think he's good at what he does on television. I think he's great at it, just for the record.
Yeah, he is.
So I'm a little surprised he would give up that stage because it is a great ESPN Monday night stage, but he's got it in his blood, and all of a sudden, I don't know if they can get it passed with the other owners to give him an ownership cut here in Oakland, but I think they will if Al Davis' son is capable of doing it. If he can pull it off, he's going to give him an ownership stake.
Well, it's going to be somewhere in the neighborhood of $10 million.
Yep.
Now, I don't know what he's making. I don't believe he's making $10 million with ESPN. I don't like counting another man's pocket. But if I'm over here and I'm enjoying what I'm doing, and somebody's going to come and give me 30%, 40% more in something I've done before that I was good at, I'm going to have to look into it, Skip. And he still loves watching film. See, I thought for the longest time he loved everything about coaching except coaching. Well, he's about to coach again. A lot of it is dealing with people, Skip. There's so much more to coaching than just on the sideline on Sunday.
It's not like he's been completely out of sight, out of mind. He's been interacting with the kids before the draft. So he still gets it. But look back at his 4 years with the Raiders. The first two were 8-8, and then all of a sudden they break through with the 12-4. Which, and again, the quarterback is Rich Gannon, who's on his way to becoming an NFL MVP. But remember what that team had. There was Tim Brown over on this side. There's your old friend Bill Romanowski's on defense, Charles Woodson on defense. It was a loaded football team. Jerry Rice came, and they had veteran talent on both sides of the ball and veteran leadership on both sides. Now, they loved them some Chucky because he let them be themselves. But still, the cupboard was not bare. It wasn't like he was doing it with mirrors. This was a really good, loaded, veteran, Al Davis special football team.
And I think that's the thing is, Skip, is that could they have hired someone else? Yes. But I think as far as splash, as far as recognizing and knowing what this base is, I don't know if they could have got a better hire. They could have hired someone, another high-profile name, but he's been there, he's done that.
Yeah, so to finish off what happened, the 12-4 year, they finally, in the AFC Championship game, run into one of the greatest teams and greatest defenses ever. with big play Shea making one big play, which was that was all they needed.
That's all we needed.
Was that not an event at the Coliseum?
It was.
That was it.
It was. And the thing was, Skip, but you can't play football like that. The way that our defense played, they punished people. There was no defensive receiver. Goose pinning a Rich Grant's shoulder, it was over.
Yep.
Once they brought in the backup quarterback, Skip, they couldn't move the ball with Rich. So you think a backup quarterback was going to move the ball?
Okay. And in defense of John Gruden, then they go 10-6 the next year, and they wind up in Foxborough, and I was there, and it was a snowstorm, and they got robbed.
They got robbed.
It was the Tuck rule, and it was just a robbery.
It was.
And Charles Woodson caused a fumble, and and Oakland recovered, and the game should have been over.
Yep.
And they got robbed. And Al Davis told me in the next training camp that he believes that Paul Tagliabue was on the phone to the press box saying, "You will rule in favor of the home team."
He went to his grave believing
He
that,
did.
Skip.
Yep. So, again, that was a pretty good run.
Yeah,
Maybe it's fairly short-lived, and he turned it right around with the revenge run in Tampa, and that's what he's got to work with. So now, to your point, he's always been in search of a quarterback, and I'm not sure about Derek Carr either. He fell clear to 21st in QBR.
I've been saying it, Skip.
22 touchdowns to 13 interceptions. Every time I looked up, he was making another big mistake, right?
Yep.
And he made the mistake fumbling the ball out of the end zone that cost him a game against my Cowboys.
Right.
So I don't know. And you didn't like their defense going in. I thought it was just so-so. I mean, you do have Khalil Mack, but
well, he's
other
gonna
than
be
that,
up. You got to pay him.
I know.
I mean,
So-
he's gonna want a king ransom. He's gonna want Von Miller type money.
Yep. So I'm not sure this team is in position to do what that team was in position and continued to do.
Right.
So it may be money can't buy happiness.
Well,
in
the thing is,
return.
Skip, they have the quarterback under contract on a fairly favorable
Yeah.
deal for the next 2 years. So you know you got that situated. Now you got to do something with Khalil Mack. What are you going to do with Amari Cooper? Now, we haven't seen Cooper show the consistency
No.
of the last 2 years that he showed in his rookie season. Now, he'll make one big play and he'll disappear. You saw him have, over 200 yards against Kansas City,
Yep.
and then he'll go 5 games and have 200 yards total.
Yep.
So which
I don't
guy
know.
are we going to get? Offensive line is set. Tight end with Jared Cook, set.
Yep.
They got to get some
don't know.
defense, Skip.
Well, they had to do
gotta.
something. Outside of the Giants, the Raiders are the most disappointing team this
For
year.
sure.
No?
John, I'm going to miss you on Monday night.
No mercy.
Thanks for listening to the Undisputed Podcast. I'm Joy Taylor. We're back at the same time tomorrow morning, 9:30 Eastern. We'll see you then.
Fox Sports 1 of 1.